the proverbial walk of shame for a piece of farm equipment. We are going up to the shop with this because even though this is only its second season, I've only mowed like, I don't know, 30 something acres with it, which is a problem because I've got like 50 more I need to mow like next week. This thing is down for the count right now. I was mowing some pretty gnarly stuff with it, you know, I mean not really, but gnarly by the standards of what you should mow with a hay mower, and ripped some teeth out of it, but that's okay because they're meant to be replaced and the teeth are only like $3 a piece or something, and I'm only missing 3 of them. However, it does have 2 problems. I hit a pretty massive hole in the road going through a subdivision last year, and trying to do all this one-handed because I'm filming. And because of that, there's some bent steel on this thing. Part of the frame is damaged just from the force of that. I'm actually really surprised that it just straight up break something. And the other problem is this hydraulic cylinder is just splooging friggin' everywhere. It's disgusting. So we got Mechanic Steve here because I've never repackified a hydraulic cylinder. Mechanic Steve's got a mechanics channel on YouTube, heavy equipment, now some farm equipment since he met me. So, yeah.
Excellent packer
of equipment. All right, so the problem with this cylinder is, here's what I think, Steve, and you're welcome to disagree with me, but this is a one-way hydraulic cylinder, so oil comes in here from the tractor, forces this rod that way, which picks up the body of the mower when you're moving it in its transport position. And the problem is it's got this vent for behind where that ram or whatever it's called goes. The problem is the vent faces up. This, you can see where the powder coat's missing. It rubbed through the tarp, so a bunch of rain got in there. And I think that that gunk is responsible for the destruction of the internal seals in this thing, because when we fold it up, it just splooges rank filth everywhere that comes out of there. So in my opinion, this was probably not assembled properly, because they really should have put this facing down so no rainwater can get into it. But they did not, and so now we have to fix it. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, the vent should be always facing down so rainwater doesn't get inside of it, and that's not going to do any favors for the piston seal in here.
What is that, and why is it on my hydraulic cylinder?
So that's what happens inside the cylinder. It fills up full of water.
No!
So we're going to have to take this nut off. We take that nut off, the piston comes off, then the packing slides off, and then we can get it. But we're gonna clean this up with a wire wheel. We'll get this nut off, and then to get it all disassembled.
That is disgusting!
Sure, inside the cylinder looks even better. Probably take that cylinder off. And, spray some.
You can see the rust. It starts like about where this finger is.
Ooh, can you?
Yeah, it sucks because that's the thing, the cylinder, you can see down in there, the cylinder was like all collapsed, or you know, it was all the way to one side because that's its resting position. The machine rested for months. Like I said, I'm sure glad I paid a bunch of money for new equipment so I don't have these problems. Precision tooling! Dude, actually the bend in this piece of junk steel pretty much cancels out the cattywampusness of this being welded on from the side, because that's the only way I could get a place to really put metal down. We gotta break through all the cylinder glaze from hundreds of thousands of miles on this thing. Slow. What are you doing, poking that stuff to see if it moves?
Yeah.
Or if it's a pit?
Nah, I wouldn't reuse it.
Oh no! It's just too dicked, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera or not, but the bottom part down here.
Yeah, it's all torn up.
Right there.
Yeah, all that scaly looking filth.
Yeah. Now the problem with that is on that O-ring,
it just shreds it.
Yeah, you know, if you have a rubber O-ring and there's any kind of indentation or anything for it to go over, the O-ring expands into that, and then when it comes up here, it squishes that O-ring back down, and it just constantly rubs.
So we got the closest cylinder possible without mail ordering something, which would have been preferable because I would have got a higher quality cylinder that's the exact right size for like 50 bucks less. But that's what happens when you don't plan for things, basically. I thought we'd be able to rebuildify this one, so therefore I did not order the cylinder, so now I need the mower and I don't have time to wait for it to come in. But before we put that on, we've got to deal with this. This is some damage to the machine that actually is sort of my fault. I mean, it is, I was the one operating it at the time, but there's not much I could have done about it. I hit a massive hole in the road, didn't really have anywhere else to go. and it really bent. I don't know, here we'll film this side because it's more in the sun. It bent this so much in here that it popped the powder coat off, and like this pin over here is all sorts of wallowed out. So yeah, we need to take off this entire piece, so like everything that holds it on has to come off. We're gonna take this in the shop, straighten it a little bit, and reinforce it some. The mower is really only made to be moved in the folded up position, which I did not really realize at the time, and that's why this happened. When this thing is folded up, all the weight is like much closer to the tractor than when it's leveraged out like that, and that extra force is what bent this, I think. So not much to it. I mean, we just got to fix it and then always drive down the road with the mower folded up. So, you know, lesson learned the hard way, right? I don't know if I like more or less fixing things that are my fault versus the friggin' dealer's fault. All right, so I figured out where we need the plate to go, what size and shape to make it. And so now we just got to turn this into steel. Alright, so we're coming up on 9:30 at night, and I'm going to tell you guys a story here because I feel like I spend more time fixing farm equipment than using it. This year really hasn't been bad, but last year was the disastrous year. But anyway, CNC plasma cutting, for those that don't know, if you have a table that costs, you know, people disagree with this, but from my own personal first-hand experience, and yes, I'm going somewhere with this, if you have a table that costs under about $100,000, it's going to be down constantly and having problems. So a buddy of mine has a table that costs more than that. His was still down and having constant problems. So he needed some parts cut out for a project he really needed to get out the door. He comes to me, he's like, hey Stretch, can your table do, you know, this, that, or the other thing, whatever specific feature he wanted? I was like, oh yeah, if it's working right, that's no problem. He goes, oh good. And I go, so no. True story. All right, anyway, this mower really hadn't been all that bad, but I'm gonna show you guys what I've done here. Basically, we got this high hydraulic cylinder. It is a little bit on the short side. It should be about 4 inches pin to pin longer, so I don't know how much of that should be the, you know, the shiny, actiony part here. But so what I did, you'll recognize that clevis as the back of the old cylinder. I took that, I took part of an F600 truck axle, you can see the splines, put it on the lathe and turned a hole in it for the pin, welded it all together with some reinforcement blocks. It is a little bit ugly, I will grant you that, but you know what, that's why they call it an emergency mid-season repair, and I think it will work. So I got that, also had to fabricable some pins here. Those who don't have agricultural experience will refer to this as a bolt. Those who do will refer to it as an emergency system, which looks extremely redneck but should work perfectly fine, and it's the kind of thing that I'll say, oh, I'll fix that. But 60 years from now when my grandkids sell this mower, it'll still be like this and probably still working. So I got the hose hooked up with some fittings from the local auto parts place, and I think we're ready to go. Now, other than some runs in the paint here, and some overspray on some warning labels, which I never read, and that one is, I believe, in check, so, you know, whatever. We got these plates welded on here, and, you know, like I said, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it more than doubles the thickness of this material that pin is pulling on. So it should fix the damage from myself running into whatever the heck that was. I still don't actually even know. Some type of random like ditch or culvert that wasn't marked, and you know, I was going as fast as I could down that road. You know, but whatever the case, more than doubles the thickness of the material. We've got a beefier pin in there as well. And I think it is time to try this out. Oh yeah, one other thing. So one thing I really like about the mower is they give you a spot for a wrench and the included specialty wrench to change out the blades in this thing. They do not give you a place to store the blades. So I put one on. This is, you know, it is a little bit redneck, I will grant you that. However, it doesn't really weigh that much. It should be perfectly, the guard that it's bolted to should be perfectly capable of holding it on. And now I've got a whole bunch of blades. Probably won't go to the field with quite that many, but yeah. So for those that have never seen up underneath one of these things, it's called a drum mower. There's those two large drums in there. They spin really fast and they're supposed to have teeth on them. And one of mine does. And so yeah, and the teeth swing out of there and they cut the grass. So, all right, let's get the tractor and see if this thing will actually liftify. I really hope it does, because I've spent hours working on this today. There we go. Let's try out the high hydraulics, other words. Oh, hey. No way. No way. I put the hose in the wrong hole. So like I moved the lever the way I'm used to having raised the mower, and it lowers the mower. You can hear that breather cap doing its thing. I'm gonna raise and lower this a few times just to purge all the air out of there and fill this cylinder with my like $20 a gallon Kubota hydraulic oil. You know, so if there's a problem, it'll leak out everywhere instead of just being halfway full. And then we're gonna go back there and take a look at this. Got good news, just saved like $9 or something, because check this out. I thought we were missing teeth on this drum. Turns out we weren't. What happened is when I was mowing all that rank, nasty stuff, a bunch of dirt and filth packed in here. See how this tooth is like free moving? So if you hit something immovable, it pops up in there and the drum just like skips over it. Yeah, well, there's so much dirt and crap and shrubs and whatnot that they were stuck in there. All three on this side were stuck up in there like that. And I'm not sticking my finger in that. There we go. So what I did is I managed to hammer them out. I got them moving a little bit. I grabbed them with those dentist looking pliers right there and yanked them out. And so we're good. Now what's really cool about these teeth, they're actually a really, really good design, because you can see they're sharpened on both sides. So you can flip these things around once and reuse them. So for the, I don't know, 30-something acres I've mowed with this, including a bunch of anthills in one field and a bunch of shrubs and whatnot in another one, yeah, I learned my lesson there. I've used like half of the blade life on this, and if I wanted to go really, really cheap, I could sharpen these more, like with a flap disc on an angle grinder or something. But look, we now have teeth on all the drums and all the places they're supposed to be, and they're fresh teeth because they're the fresh side of the original teeth. And that was extremely, extremely successful. So I got to take a few teeth, stick them in this. I don't think I want my whole stash in here, just on the off chance that something happens to this toolbox. But we are in business. The mower is done. It's ready to go out to the field. You know, just obviously one more good greasing the morning before I use it. I try to do that the morning before I use everything. And hopefully the angles and the geometry on that cylinder prove to be a-okay. But I guess there's just one way to find out. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I haven't really enjoyed fixing this. I would have preferred if I did not have to do so, but it wasn't that bad of a repair, and even the teeth were salvageable on this, so really couldn't have asked for this to come out any better. Again, I'd like to thank you for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more of my late night farming repair adventures.